We finish up our 2022 Buccaneers draft class deep dive, rounding things out with all of the day 3 picks. Then David and I are going to give our final grades on the class. Then we dive into the voicemail line and get caught up with all of you. Let's go.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to the Locked On Bucs Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. We are your daily podcast covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. And we thank you for making us your first listen or view of the day. I am James Yarcho, joined by my very, uninterested host in the cold open, David Harrison. You can find us on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at JArco_Bucs, and at DHarrison82. Check out everything I'm doing over at BucsNation.com. Check out everything David is doing, along with 3.8 million other people over at BucsGameDay.com. 3.8 million views.
I mean, those aren't all my views, though.
Right, but I guess I meant to say like 3.8 million people viewing.
Right.
You and your cohorts there at Bucs Game Day are doing. Yeah. Incredible month for you guys. Well done. Well done.
I did have a Gronk article actually go over 600K last time I saw it. So that's pretty humbling. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of weird.
Well, you guys are crushing it over there. So yeah, everybody make sure you're going and checking out Bucs Game Day. They're doing a great job over there.
We appreciate it. And we appreciate all of you, of course, Bucs Nation out there making us your first listener, your first view every single day. Today, we're going to continue and completes actually our 2022 NFL draft class review and grades. Just to recap where we left off, if you haven't been keeping along, if you haven't, please go back and check, because we said a lot of really good things. They're very interesting and insightful, and you should definitely know what we said. Round 2 pick, defensive end Logan Hall, the first pick of the draft for the Buccaneers. James gave it an A-. I gave it a B+. Round 2, offensive guard Luke Gadecki. I almost said Luke Gadecki. James and I both came in with a B. Round 3, running back Rachaad White. James gave him a B. I gave the selection of Rachaad White an A. Maybe a little bit of collegiate alliance bias in there. Now let's move on to day 3. Listen. Herm Edwards said Captain America is going to love Rachaad White. Tight end Cade Otton out of Washington was the first pick there, round 4 for the Buccaneers. They have 2 picks. We'll get to the second one here in a minute. James, your thoughts on Mr. Otten, tight end out of Washington?
Oh, you had to throw the R in there. It's Washington. Big pet peeve of mine. I had a tour guide once in Washington, D.C. that did that. So the entire time, this is the Washington Monument. This is the Washington whatever. It's just, all right. So yeah, Cade Otton out of Washington. I thought it was a really, really good pick, honestly. So you have a tight end that, because he couldn't go through all of the things through the draft process, he fell to day 3. Probably would have been a middle of day 2 pick, whether that's maybe late second, early third. Really, really good tight end. He's not very fast, but he is an incredibly talented route runner. He finds himself open. He has really, really sure hands. He's a really good target for Tom Brady in this offense. It doesn't stop them from signing Gronk by any means. They needed a tight end regardless, but it gives them another weapon there. And it's also somebody that can sit in and block. So it's kind of that dual threat where that's what we thought O.J. Howard was going to be, where he could block, but he could also go out and catch passes. So Cade Otton's going to fit really nicely. I really, really liked that pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it should be a solid number 2 if Gronk doesn't come back and he has to back up Cam Brayton. He's going to learn from a guy who's carved himself out a very, very good NFL career and knows how to be a professional, come in and grind out for his team. We never hear about Cam Brayton being late, being out of shape, being too slow, being too tired, being whatever. Cam is always there for what the Buccaneers need him. So good guy for Cade Otton to learn from if Gronk doesn't come back. If Gronk does come back, even better, because now you got 3 tight ends that you can really use. And if Gronk needs a breather, or maybe he gets banged up in a game, so you just want to give him a rest here, 1 week, you can go ahead and hopefully do that. And like you said, outside the injury would have been a much higher prospect from everything you saw on tape. So if you lean on the tape, you got a very good deal in this pick. And that's why, James, I give it an A. as a day 3 pick, tight end Cade Otton. I give this pick an A because I think absolutely the Buccaneers got value. Again, injuries aren't quite what they were, back in the day, quote unquote. So I think the injury history is not totally problematic. And the fact that he's not coming in to be a starting tight end, the Buccaneers can ease him in. I actually make the grade even better if the Buccaneers already know Gronk is coming back, because it means even less pressure will actually be put on Otten's body in his first year in the NFL.
Yeah, I also gave this one an A. Like you said, you're getting a day 2 pick on day 3, and he fits exactly what Byron Leftwich is going to want to do with the offense. He's going to get to work there with Cameron Braid and assumedly Rob Gronkowski. I think I just made up a word. Did I?
You did. I like it though. Assumedly. I mean, I was just going to let you roll with it, man. I was like, that's a word now. Assumedly is a word, and assumedly,
it's a word.
Yeah, assumedly, James Yarcho very unhappy with the next round 4 pick because the Buccaneers went with national champion, by the way, hardware owner, ring bearing, trophy holder, punter, Jake Camarda out of Georgia.
My infuriation with this pick had nothing to do with Jake Camarda.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with his talent, with him as a person. It had everything to do with the fact that it was the 4th round and you still had Tariq Woolen and Zyon McCollum sitting there. And no other picks for like 100 picks. I calmed down a little bit after they made the trade. We'll get into that in just a moment. But you're still drafting a punter in the 4th round. And it's incredibly frustrating. And I get that this guy, he led Division I football in punts pinned inside the 20.
Right.
You tried to throw the Pat McAfee compliments in my face to get me to calm down, and it just made me more upset. And then Greg Allman pointed out the fact, a lot of people were wondering because Camarda was the 3rd specialist, the 2nd punter taken off the board. Because the Buccaneers were not the first team to do this.
Right.
Everyone was, what about punt God? What about punt God? Well, Jake Camarda is also a holder. And he has extensive experience in holding and gets complimented a lot for how quick his hands are and how good he is at that. And that's a very key component to special teams. Don't get me wrong. It's going to save the Buccaneers a lot of money in the cap because Bradley Pinion, you draft a punter in the 4th, Bradley Pinion, you're gone, dude.
Yeah,
sorry. Best of luck in all of your future endeavors. So yeah, Camarda, he's a great punter. He's a great specialist. I just hated that they passed up somebody to help the secondary in favor of a punter.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a punter. I really didn't have any emotional reaction to this pick other than knowing that James was absolutely having a fit. And the fact that it actually came off the heels of, not in real time, but in draft time, kind of came off the heels of Rachaad White coming to the Buccaneers. It's just like everything's coming up Dave right now and not a lot coming up James. And then, of course, it would come up Dave even more with the selection of cornerback Zyon McCollum, one of my favorite guys coming into the draft out of Sam Houston State. But before we get there, we got to drop our grades for Jake Camarda and take a quick pause to let some of our friends talk to the good people out there. James, listen, you're not going to like this. I'm giving this an incomplete because I have no idea. Punting in college is not punting in the NFL. The ball is shaped different. It's a different size. It's a different weight. I'm not taking any of that to too much credit right now, negative or positive. The incomplete is not on the other side of an F. It's just literally, I got to wait and see what happens.
I'm giving it a C. I reserve the right to change my mind later down the road. If Camarda does with the Bucs what he did at Georgia, he's going to be one of the best punters in the league.
Yeah.
I truly, truly believe that. The guy has an absolute cannon. If he can make sure that Suckup is kicking field goals and he's not bobbling snaps and everything, fantastic.
Yeah.
And if that $3 million that they save by cutting Pinion helps bring back Rob Gronkowski or brings in another free agent to help this team, even better. Right now, I'm stuck on a C, and the grade would have been even worse if the Buccaneers had not traded with Jacksonville to get into the 5th round. But we're going to talk about that move and the rest of the picks coming up in just a moment. But first, time is running out, folks. you are going to want to head over to BlueNile.com. At BlueNile.com, you can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece at all prices that you won't find at a traditional jeweler. And with Mother's Day coming up, it's the perfect time to get to know Blue Nile. Whether she prefers a statement piece or everyday subtle elegance, BlueNile.com has fine jewelry options for every mom. Shop high quality classic diamond earrings, elegant tennis bracelets, or gemstone pendant necklaces. Mark Mother's Day with something enduring. Classic diamond stud earrings, tennis bracelets, birthstone pendants, and so much more at BlueNile.com. The best part, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Shop stress-free with guaranteed free shipping and returns. This Mother's Day, give mom something she will treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On listeners will get $5 off of $500 purchases. This podcast exclusive is only good through Mother's Day. So use code Locked On. That's code Locked On, LOCKEDON. Plus, every order is insured. It ships for free and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today.
And if you need to collect a little bit more scratch before you go drop in on a nice piece of jewelry for mom, our friends over at betonline.net might be able to help you out with that, because they're your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. You can find all your latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball, and this weekend's Run to the Roses as the Kentucky Derby is back. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in the action at BetOnline, where the game starts. Thanks for making the Locked On Bucs podcast your first listen or your first view every single day. David Harrison and James Yarcho back for the final episode of the week together here on Twitter at DHarrison82, at JYarcho_Bucs, and at Locked On Bucs. Our final three prospects to look at in this year's draft for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. James, we're going to kick it off with one of my favorite guys, cornerback Zyon McCollum. We were both getting very high on this young man as we got closer and closer to the NFL draft. Mocked him several times to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ourselves, which means we know everything. Super plugged in. Jason Light basically told us exactly what he was going to do, and he did it.
Yeah, 100%. You have and again, this is why I was so upset with the Camarda pick, is because I wanted this guy. I wanted this guy, or I wanted Tariq Woolen. Both of these fit the Todd Bowles defense perfectly. They're both very big, very strong, very athletic, very fast. So I don't want to dive too much into Zyon McCollum, strictly because, for those that haven't heard it, I want them to go back and listen to your episode on Thursday where you spoke to Zyon McCollum's coach from Sam Houston State. And, you know, I think he's going to be a great fit. I truly, truly believe he is going to challenge Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamel Dean. He's either going to push them to be better, or he's going to push them out of the lineup. This is an incredible young man. Tons of athleticism. I'm really, really excited to see what he does, during training camp, during the preseason, and how he's going to fit with the team. And I didn't even know, David, until you mentioned it on your show on Thursday, that he could be in the mix for punt return.
Yeah.
A lot of people were very upset with Jalen Darden's lack of ability there, when that seemed to be one of the main reasons he was drafted. McCollum's going to push another guy either to be better or to be on the sideline.
Yeah, and you mentioned my interview with Casey Keeler, the head coach there of Sam Houston. Look, first of all, Casey Keeler, one of the most accomplished college coaches in collegiate football history. You just don't hear a lot about it because it's at the FCS level. But Coach Joe Flacco ends up being a Super Bowl champion back when he was in Delaware. Coach Keeler was in Delaware, obviously. Joe Flacco was with the Baltimore Ravens. But a great conversation there. And what I really like is how Coach Keeler dove into Zyon McCollum, the person, the human being, and mentioning he's one of the best people that he's ever met in his entire life, and his dedication to his teammates, to his work, and all that stuff. Because again, we've talked about this. Everybody in the NFL has talent, right? All of these guys are talented athletes. They're super athletic, and all that. Usually, it's the mental side of the game, the preparation, the football IQ, or the drive to really stay relevant in the NFL that gets players taken off the roster. And Zyon McCollum, from what Coach Keeler is telling us, certainly seems to have the mental makeup to make it in this league. I agree. I think he's going to, if at worst case scenario, he's going to make Sean Murphy Bunting and Jamel Dean kind of have to look over their shoulder just a little bit. I don't predict Zyon, cracking the starting lineup in 2022 or anything like that, but I think he's going to put a little bit of pressure on them. Best case scenario is he comes in, balls out, and ends up lining up across from Carlton Davis. That would be insane. But I'm giving this pick an A. You got an athletic, long, fast, rangy defensive back that can do safety, he can play nickel, he can play out, he can contribute on special teams. I mean, how do you not give it an A?
Yeah, I am also giving this one an A. And I got nothing else to add. David, let's move on to round 6, where the Buccaneers traded up to draft tight end Ko Kieft out of Minnesota. And look, this pick was a little confusing to me at the time. Yeah. I started looking into Kieft a little bit and realized, yes, he's listed as a tight end. He is not cutting into Otten or Brait or potentially, assumedly, Gronk's production there. He is not a receiving tight end. He had a couple of receptions, had a couple of touchdowns. This guy is an absolute mauler of a blocker. And so he's going to be that extra guy on the end of the line in jumbo sets. They every once in a while might sneak out there and find himself catching a touchdown pass, but he's a guy that it honestly will not surprise me if they begin the process of transitioning him from tight end to offensive lineman, because he's just an absolute monster. I'm not sure he really has the full size to be an offensive lineman. He's 6'4", 260, so he'd have to beef up a little bit. But that's basically what his role is going to be. It's probably going to be special teams blocking. He's not fast enough to be on the suicide squad there, but punts, kicks, and jumbo packages in the red zone, that's where you're going to see Kieft come into play if he's on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Ko Kieft and I have to give this a B, because I have to imagine the Buccaneers know exactly why they drafted him. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I'm very curious to see how it is they're going to work him out. I kind of have all the same assumptions that you do, but he's a very kind of singularly talented type of player. So I don't think you pull the trigger on drafting a guy like this unless you know why you're drafting him. So that's why I give it a B, just because you like I said, you just kind of have, like, you don't go buy a Corvette unless you want a Corvette. And Ko is not a Corvette by any means, but you don't go buy a Mack truck thinking like, oh man, I could use something that maybe could get up to speed pretty quick, and then go buy a Mack. Like, if you buy a Mack truck, you're buying it for a very specific reason. So I'm gonna give it a B, just basically trusting that the team knows exactly what they're doing. I think it could be the end of seeing Vita Vea get carries. Honestly, Ko Kieft could be lining up in that goal line running back package.
Hey, how about Ko Kieft blocks for Vita Vea?
I actually thought about that too. Ko Kieft as a fullback, and you put Vita back there, dotting the I, and you let Ko go in there and just plow the road. And
all right, I gave this one a C just because I don't know. I want to see how they use him. I want to see if he even makes the team. This could end up being kind of a disappointing trade up. David, let's round things out real quick. And LSU outside linebacker Andre Anthony, drafted in the 7th round. I gave this one a B. You're in the 7th round, you're throwing darts, right? This is completely on upside. Andre Anthony was a very effective outside linebacker for the Tigers, but only played in 3 games last year because he missed a lot of time due to injury. I tend to believe that if he was healthy last season, was healthy through the process, and had a full 2021 to put on display, he would have gone far higher than the 7th round. Probably still a day 3 pick, but far higher than the end of the 7th round. So I'm grading him on upside because I'm assuming that's what the Buccaneers drafted him on. So I give this one a B. He could turn out to be a really solid depth piece for the Bucs that they got basically for free.
Yeah, this is Kendall Beckwith at Shaq Sitchy. It's a guy who is more talented than his draft position because of injuries, and you're taking a chance on getting a return on that potential and avoiding the further injuries. Look, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. At the end of the day, you didn't really give up a lot, but if it works out great, you might hit a home run in the 7th round. So yeah, I'm giving it a B as well. And then James doing up all the math. So just to recap real quick. So for me, you got a B+ for Logan Hall, a B for Luke Hideki, an A for Rachaad White, an A for Cade Otton. I'm abstaining from voting on Jake Camarda. I give an A to Zyon McCollum, a B to Ko Kieft, and a B to Andre Anthony, which gives this Buccaneers draft an 89.1% according to our grading scale, which is a B+.
Logan Hall, I gave an A-. Then Luke Gadecki and Rashad White, I gave each of them a B. Cade Otton was an A. Jake Camarda was a C. And then Zyon McCollum was an A. Ko Kieft was a C. Andre Anthony was a B. That gives me an 85.6%, which is a solid B right there in the middle for this draft class. Coming up in just a moment, we are going to wrap things up by hitting the voicemail line and hearing from some of you guys. But first, summer is coming, and with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on family vacations. Throw them in your bags, throw them in the kids' backpacks. Make sure that everyone has a bar so that you are fueled for your summer adventures. The best part about Built Bars is they are healthy and delicious. No more sacrificing taste for health. With Built Bar, you can have both, and it's easy. All you have to do is go to Built.com to order now. All the Built Bars and the Puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means you can eat healthy and enjoy doing it. All kinds of flavors. You guys know them. If you're a Puffs person, you got the banana cream pie, you got churro. If you're an OG, you got peanut butter brownie, you got mint brownie, you got cherry barcia, all kinds of delicious flavors. And if you're not sure what you want to go with, go ahead and order a mixed box, and you're going to get a variety of the 12 flavors of bars and puffs that Built has to offer. Most of these Built Bars, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15. You're going to get 15% off your order. Again, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Wrapping things up here on a Friday edition of the Locked On Bucs podcast. James Yarcho, David Harrison on Twitter at JYarcho_Bucs, at DHarrison82. Find the show at Locked On Bucs. And we got voicemails, David.
James, this is Kevin from Orlando calling. I am calling because, of course, I just enjoyed seeing the players that the Buccaneers picked, these 8 new players now. And I'm calling because I wanted to ask about what your predictions are regarding them as to how many of these new players will be making the team or not. I know that David, at least in my opinion, famously said that last year, he famously said that a chance that a lot of these players would not be making the team, and yet all but one made the team. I think there was a 6th-round pick that didn't, but all the rest of the picks did, which in my opinion is a huge win. I was wondering if, regarding these new 8 players, what both of your predictions are, if they'll be actually making the team or not at the very end, if we'll just have one that won't make it like last year, or if possible, all 8 of them will make it. So anyway, just wanted to get your predictions on that and what you thought. Enjoy the show. Go Bucs.
Kevin, thank you very much for the call. David, I think it's going to play out exactly like last year did. And I think all of the draft picks are going to make the team, except for the one taken in the 6th round, and that is Ko Kieft. I get it. They saw something in him. They traded up to go get him, but I don't see how he makes the team, especially with Gronk coming back. I don't think he's good enough to take McElroy's place. And I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be sitting here 4 months from now and Kevin's going to call back and be like, well, James, you're a moron because Kieft is a beast. But yeah, Hall, Gadecki, White, Otten, Camarda, McCollum, Anthony, I think they all make the team.
Yeah, I mean, rounds 1, 2 through 5, I think are all going to end up on the roster. Ko Kieft, I think he's probably a practice squad guy. I don't know if you consider that making the team or not. Andre Anthony, I think he's going to be a bubble guy. We'll have to see how he produces, how he does in camp, and with the opportunities he has. My issue, James, is with this 2021 conversation. Listen. First of all, Joe Tryon, Kyle Trask, Robert Hainsey, Jalen Darden, they're all top 4 round picks. They're making the roster. Like, it's pretty much kind of a given. I remember I was very excited on KJ Britt. I remember seeing him at the Senior Bowl last year. I was very, very high on KJ Britt. So that's at least 5 of the 7 that I am pretty confident that I said we're going to make the roster. Now, Grant Stewart, I actually do remember predicting both Britt and Stewart would make the opening day roster. Chris Wilcox did not. I need to know the context of me famously saying that not a lot of these picks were going to make the roster in 2021, because I feel like it had to have been pre-draft hyperbole where basically I'm like, a lot of these picks may not even make the roster because look how stacked the Bucs roster is pre-draft. But once you actually go through and you make selections and you've got picks. I mean, again, typically in your first 4 rounds, you're looking for guys that are going to make an impact on your team. You're not usually going to cut those guys loose in the preseason outside of like criminal activity. So I'm not calling anybody a liar here. And I am prone to some hyperbole from time to time. I'm not denying that, but I would love the context on that. Refresh my memory on what it was I said specifically, Kevin. But yeah, appreciate the phone call. But as far as I'm concerned, outside of the final 2 picks, basically, I think everybody else is making the roster.
You know what the best way to determine which of the draft picks you said were going to make the team, instead of having to sift through like all of our draft coverage? Go to our roster prediction show when you and I went back and forth as to who we thought was going to make the team, because that'll say right there which of the draft picks you believed were going to make the team. But yeah, I do remember you being extremely high on KJ Britt, and I can't. I know you said Grant Stewart was going to make the team. I can't remember if I was on that bandwagon or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, either way, it's tough to make this team because
I'm not offended by it, Kevin. I just want to be clear. I'm not offended. I'm just like, man, did I say that? Did I really say that?
To be fair, Kevin, David and I have been very good friends for a very long time now. And half the time, I still don't know if he's joking or not. This is 100% truth. David will tell me something, and I will take it dead serious, and he'll be like, bro, I'm joking, right? So all right, David, we do have one more voicemail, but we're gonna save it for Monday. Yep. If you guys have any topics or questions or concerns or anything that you would like to ask the show, of course you can do so by giving us a call at 813-444-5841 or send us an email to lockedonbucspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for making the Locked On Bucs podcast your first listen of the day. Now make Locked On NFL your second listen. The schedule may be dark, but the NFL never stops, and neither does Locked On NFL. Get insights and opinions from hosts including Ross Jackson, Chris Carter, and Tony Wiggins, plus Locked On NFL hosts repping all 32 squads. There's no offseason for real fans, so make sure you're subscribed to Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. We will be back on Monday. For all of you mothers out there listening, happy Mother's Day. Hope it's a fantastic one. For all you guys out there listening, don't forget to get something for your mother or the mother of your children. This is your reminder. It's Friday. You have until Sunday. Stop putting it off and go get it done. That's my soapbox. It's been a while since I've had one of those. For David Harrison, I am James Yarcho. Until we speak again, make sure you're checking out David's work over at BucsGameDay.com. Check out mine at BucsNation.com. And, of course, follow along on Twitter at LockedOnBucs, at JYarcho_Bucs, and at DHarrison82. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, be good to one another, fire those cannons. We thank you so much for joining us right here at Locked On Bucs.